Have you been thinking of moving to the Annex in downtown Toronto? The Annex is a pretty historic neighborhood, a lot of culture, a lot of unique architecture, and quite the destination for a lot of people when they're thinking of a place to move to in Toronto. Now, if you're moving from across the country or across the world, you probably don't know too much about the Annex, so you want to learn what the houses are like, what the neighborhood amenities are like, what the restaurants, what the shops are like, and that's what I'm going to do in this video today. Is we're going to jump into my computer soon, and I'm going to guide you around this neighborhood and show you like what to expect. So this video is kind of a companion video to my vlog tour of the Annex, which I completed not so long ago. We actually went into the neighborhood. It was a beautiful fall day, and we captured this neighborhood in all its glory. So be sure to check out that video as well. Link is going to be right over here, and all these different areas we visited in the vlog tour we're going to highlight in this Google Map tour of the Annex. Now, if you are considering a move to Toronto, you'll want an experienced real estate broker in your corner, and that's where I come in. My name is Philip Kotlier. Me and my team are specialized in helping people relocate to the city of Toronto. So if that's you, whether you're planning on moving in 8 days or 80 days, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to give us a call. We're happy to help you make your move everything you want it to be. Moving to Toronto may seem a little bit daunting at times because there's over 140 unique neighborhoods with unique vibes, and choosing the right one could be a little bit overwhelming. So that's why we're making these videos, to really give you a zoomed in insider look at specific neighborhoods, which I know are quite in demand. And yeah, then you'll get a pretty good sense if this is a right neighborhood for you. And then when you visit here, you can actually go to some of the locations that I'm highlighting in the Google Maps and get a sense of these locations, and maybe you'll find the neighborhood that fits you best. Okay, here we are on my computer, and you can see a map of the Annex, and let's take a look at where it is in relationship to the rest of the city. So here you can see the entire downtown core, and the Annex is kind of just on the northern side of the downtown core. Not quite midtown, but very close. Usually St. Clair over here is the kind of line that demarcates where midtown is. So the boundaries of the Annex are Dupont and Bloor. Over here, Dupont and Bloor, that's bad line. Dupont and Bloor over here, Avenue to the east, and Bathurst to the west. So it's a nice little rectangular shape. Now, from the sky, if you look at this neighborhood, you can tell that there's a lot of detached homes in the neighborhood. Most of these are the historic Edwardian and Victorian homes that were the Toronto elite built up in the earlier half of the century. And there are some buildings along Spadina over here. There are some condos on the periphery, kind of the perimeter of the neighborhood, especially the new builds, right? They're going to be on Bloor Street. There's a couple of new builds that we talked about right over here, 200 Bloor Street West. Exhibit residences I touched on in the vlog tour. That is right over here, and looks over the museum. And then over here, there's a variety of new builds as well. There's actually a new build right under construction right over here. But yeah, generally you'll find high rise on the perimeter, and the interior of this neighborhood is very, very well protected. And the neighborhood residents fight very hard to make sure that development doesn't take place. Even rebuilding properties and renovating them is really closely monitored and guarded, because there are over 500 heritage properties within this community. Renovating one of those properties, it takes a lot more time, a lot more permitting to even get permission to renovate, right? And we've seen a lot of those properties in the vlog tour. We can take a look at some of them here on the screen as well. You can see that they're really architecturally significant properties, and they should be protected. It's not something you want to just kind of start hacking away at without the proper safeguards in place. But let's see, like if you're living in this neighborhood, there's a lot of conveniences afforded to you, right? You have Yorkville, which is a really trendy shopping district, along with a lot of places to go out, great places to eat, some kind of supper nightclubs as well that happen in Yorkville. But you also have the Mink Mile, which is where the Chanel's and the Gucci's and Louis Vuitton stores are. That's all over here between Avenue and Yonge on Bloor Street, so just kind of southeast of the Annex. And then the Yorkville itself is only kind of a couple of streets, Cumberland over here and Yorkville Ave over here. And most of the action takes place among these two streets. There's a really nice park over here in the wintertime. There's kind of like sculptures that are built and showcased. In the summertime, there's like jazz in the park, always different events taking place. There's like a car shows that happen in the summer, and it's just a really lively, busy place to be, as a contrast to the actual Annex proper, which is a lot more peaceful and not too much going on within the Annex, because there's not a lot of shops or retail spaces in this actual community. They're all kind of along the perimeter mostly. So, right, you have the Yorkville section over here, which is just east, and then you have Bloor Street, which is also a pretty busy street. The subway runs underneath Bloor Street, but it's the division line between the Annex and the University of Toronto grounds, right? So if we were to look at it from here, you can see Bloor right over here, and basically a large majority of the properties over here belong to the U of T. It's kind of interlaced with privately owned residences and U of T owned properties, but it's sometimes hard to tell the difference, but a lot of them are U of T, especially this section over here. This is all U of T. So, you find a lot of the campus students studying along Bloor Street, find a lot of the professors out and about as well. And then within the Annex, you have a lot of fraternity houses and sorority houses. They've actually taken these old Edwardian mansions, they bought them in the 50s and the 60s for really low price points compared to what they would go for today, and they've converted them into these fraternities and sororities. There's many of them. I toured a lot of them on the vlog, and they're spread out throughout the neighborhood. So that's something to be cautious about. If you did want to move into the Annex, you may not want to live right next to one of these fraternity sororities, because it could get a little bit lively, right? So now you kind of get a sense of where the Annex is in relationship to the U of T, but there's also Queen's Park right down here, and that's the seat of the Ontario legislature. The Premier Doug Ford is over here, and there's a lot of consulates for diplomats of different countries in and around this area, right? So another big demographic of people that could potentially live in the Annex is foreign dignitaries and foreign diplomats. So that is Queen's Park. And then Bathurst is a bit quieter, not much happening on this side, mostly residential, some shops. The DuPont's also some nice shops, a bit more shops, but still a little bit quieter. The main kind of attractions and the main activities are all along Avenue Road and Bloor Street. That's the main kind of hub over here. And I mentioned Bloor Street also is where the subway runs east and west. So you have subway entrances over here for Spadina Station, and you have one at Bathurst Station, DuPont Station here, and then Museum Station right over here, but you can enter from the actual museum. So 4 separate subway stations that service the Annex. And of course you could drive as well. There's plenty of major arteries to get around. But it's really a walking neighborhood, and you can walk to the best the city has to offer if you live in the Annex, right? Let's see what other landmarks there are. I mean, the museum I think is important to touch on. The Royal Ontario Museum is a beautiful museum. I've come here with my family before. It's great for kids, great for grown-ups. They actually have some like bars that happen on occasion. There's some like evening events that take place in the museum as well for grown-ups. But it's a pretty cool place, a nice place to check out, great dinosaur exhibits. It was recently renovated. The architecture is quite nice, quite stunning by our standards, I suppose. So yeah, it's something to check out. They have a great summer camp as well if you have young kids and you want to get them involved. It's definitely an option. And then park-wise, so Queen's Park has a pretty big outdoor space, great for picnics, but it is a little bit busy with this kind of wraparound Queen's Park Lane. The park I would recommend if you want to have a bit of peace in the city is Christie Pitts, right over here, just a little ways down from the Annex. Christie Pitts, pretty big park. There's concerts here. There's all kinds of things that take place, lots of events to get engaged with the community at Christie Pitts. And that kind of covers the major pieces of the Annex. I mean, it's not a huge neighborhood, but it's definitely one that is quite sought after by a lot of people living in Toronto and abroad. And that's it for the Annex. What did you guys think? Was there a favorite portion to this neighborhood for you guys? Something that would really draw you in? I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Now, moving forward, we're putting out a video a week about everything to do with life in Toronto, including neighborhood guides, property tours, and real estate tips. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be the first to be notified once a new video is released. That's it for today. We'll see you guys on the next one.